Hello, welcome back to Mining Indaba 2024. My name is Ahmed, Senior Content Producer. Today on our Voices of Disruption series, I have the special privilege to welcome Jito Kayumba, Special Assistant to the President of the Republic of Zambia for Finance and Investment. Jito, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Ahmed?
I'm doing well, thank you. Pleasure to have you today.
Thank you.
Right, I'm just gonna, if I just get straight into it, Jito, with our first question. Obviously, as I've mentioned, you are the Special Assistant to the President of the Republic of Zambia for Finance and Investment. So, from your position, I imagine you see quite a bit.
Yes.
Zambia is one of probably the most disruptive nations in Africa. A lot of positivity, a lot of great steps, and a lot of things to shout about. In what ways, in your opinion, has Zambia's disruptive approach to mining made it a leader amongst its peers?
One thing I have to certainly do is check my hubris with regards to the statement of us being a leader among our peers. Of course, we are second to the Congo from a copper production perspective, but we definitely are an exciting environment for new investments, attracting investments from various jurisdictions because of the fact that, one, the ecosystem, the operating environment is become much more conducive from a policy perspective, of course, the fact that Zambia is a highly stable democracy. We've proven it time and time again, and it's made investors feel a lot more comfortable. Of course, the right optics are obviously on display, obviously coming from the presidency and among other aspects of the Zambian economy. Obviously, if you look at the willingness to engage directly. The president himself has availed himself on multiple occasions with investors to give that reassurance that our systems, our institutions are robust enough to take on these investments. Of course, ensuring that we also do quite a lot in terms of reform. Our mineral management system, the mining cadastre, has also encountered a lot of reform that has encouraged more investor confidence that they know that their tenement is protected, that once they secure a mining right, they know for a fact that that mining right will not only be safely in their hands, that they can derive value from it, they can put in all the commercial elements that gets them the economic targets. And with us as a partner, as a government that welcomes investment, that welcomes partnerships, that also ensures that there's protection, that there's confidence, that there's consistency. And that's something that also has been a lamentation of the past, there's been changes in policy. But last but not least, really, is that Zambia wouldn't be seen to be attractive besides the factors I've just shared, if it actually weren't for the fact that it is richly endowed. The mineral deposits in our country are very significant, and you're seeing a lot more exploration. The results that are coming through are very exciting. And for we as a government who have a target to get to an annual production of 3 million metric tons, which will essentially make us the leading copper producing country on the continent in the next 10 years, I think that's very achievable given the feedback that we're getting from the explorers and soon to be mine developers.
Incredible. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's a great answer. I want to quickly go back to what you said about Zambia being richly endowed. Now, yes, as you said, that's no secret. However, I think it's also safe to say that the policies and the initiatives that the government has undertaken have placed Zambia in a position to take full advantage of its resources. One such investment initiative that comes to mind is the Mingomba mine. And the things that have gone around that. So taking that maybe as an example, how can other government-led initiatives in Zambia become the blueprint for future investment drives across the continent?
What's amazing about Mingomba is really the disruption, right? You talked about what makes Zambia sort of on the cutting edge in terms of disruption within the mining industry. I think this is really a period where we're experiencing a paradigm shift within the mining industry, not only because of the fact that there's such a greater push towards sustainability and ensuring that all the factors associated with that, because everything that goes into what the world consumes in terms of electronics and vehicles and so on, and renewable energy has to come from mineral resources. And of course, we are positioned to do that. And of course, even when it comes to application of the extraction process, because of course historically extraction has been attributed to not be very green, but of course with us we're pushing towards a greener mining future. I think that's very significant, and that's the first one. Is part of our blueprint is ensuring that we enable and facilitate a green vision in the sector, in ensuring that the energy consumption, the utilization of, in fact, even the land that's utilized. I was just at one of our largest mines a few weeks ago, Kansanshi, which is owned by the First Quantum Minerals Group. And I was amazed by the manner in which they pay attention to the environment and replacing the trees that they cut when developing the mines, but also making sure there's a future in the environment right after the mine is done. So sustainability is key. And then the second really is in the exploration process. Mingomba, who's obviously owned by Cobalt Metals, which we're extremely excited about because of the fact that, this is an enterprise that's owned by some very significant people who play a very special role within certain economies like the US, right? These are mostly tech entrepreneurs. So the meeting of tech entrepreneurs and people understand technology and artificial intelligence entering the mining space is beyond exciting because of the fact that when you combine the two, you have greater efficiencies. The economics of mining sort of require one to be efficient in the manner in which they find the mineral resource and the manner in which they develop the mine. You want to keep your costs to a certain level. Now, looking at their exploration that they've done within the Copperbelt region of Zambia and their emphasis on doing what is hardest, looking at a mineral resource which is very deep and going into an area which many people haven't somewhat taken time to explore because they're concerned about the cost factor. But with them combining, of course, the traditional mining, drilling, and exploration process with artificial intelligence means that the data they could gather can enable them to pinpoint the exact quantity, location, content, feed that into their mine development process. And that then creates one of the most efficient mines on the continent. And of course, and that's very exciting. So we're eagerly awaiting the move towards mine development. And the best part about dealing with the likes of Mingomba and the Cobalt, sort of metals group is the fact that, they've been moving very quick. Barely 12 months ago, they made the announcement that they'll come in with a $150 million investment in the actual exploration. They've gone beyond that and shown and basically launched the second phase, which is the advancements of their exploration, which has yielded great results. And then we'll be looking forward to, the mine development. And they've been great in terms of giving us feedback. And my office has been very much sort of in touch with them. And that's the other attitude that Zambia is taking up from a blueprint perspective, is just the availability of government to be a platform for engagement, that we don't disturb what the investor or the developer is doing. And of course, we want to make sure that regulations are in place, but we want to ensure that the best practices are implemented without government being a hindrance. We're much more of a catalyst towards what essentially will be an incredible mine. So that's ultimately what I believe is what other African countries can emulate. And transparency is key, ensuring that government participation is beyond regulation and facilitation is really transparency and really a commitment to ensuring that not only is there a zero tolerance to corruption, but also that the resource base, it truly does go towards, first and foremost, enhancing the local economy, including, of course, local employment, local suppliers, ensuring that what is being extracted, processed, and so on also benefits the local community in terms of upskilling labor and things of that nature. So for me, that's in a some sort of a wrap up of what we believe can be taken out of our context. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an insane amount of development that's, like you said, took place so quickly and is very much driving a lot of positive developments. Look, right in that answer, you focused you focused a bit on exploration, on development, etc. I want to quickly fast forward to the end cycle when we're producing. And also within that policy element. Now, Zambia has, as you said, very much focused its policy not just on promoting investment, but also promoting value creation.
Yes.
Um, could you speak a little bit to how Zambia has enabled itself to capture more value internally from its rich resources?
Absolutely. So I would say there are three fundamental elements in terms of enhancing value. And the first I would say is local participation, not just at managerial level or or at least being staffed significantly within the mines, but then also from a shareholding perspective. I think having the involvement, including state-owned institutions, state-owned holding companies like the Zambia Consolidated Copper Mining Investment Holdings, which we call ZCCMIH, the IDC, which is the Industrial Development Corporation, which is a state-owned holding vehicle, which essentially owns all state interests. And so that particular model is being driven by the president to ensure that we have greater shareholding and presence, so we could be beneficial owners from the from the entire mining and value chain. And then beyond that is more enhancements within value addition, pushing for more smelting capacity, more processing capacity, so that not only are we producing and the end product shouldn't just end at cathodes, but we should move beyond that towards the components that go into electric vehicles or into cables and all the other finished goods. So there's a huge drive towards that, and there's certainly incentives being put in place to ensure that more investors are doing that. A lot of the new mining investments capture that vision, and beyond that, and the third component, I think I touched on presence and shareholding. The second is enhancement in terms of value addition, but the third is now participating in the trading. I think this is something that the country would certainly benefit from. When you look at the mining sector, of course, you've got government who typically makes its returns from the sector through taxation, sometimes for a bit of shareholding. Of course, the mining companies also play a significant part and have economic benefits, but the lion's share of the sector really does come from the trading aspects and the other downstream activities. So the great involvement in that is very significant. And right now there is a move to ensure that the government does participate on the trading side. So, and in order for us also to have access to the resource, to then direct the resource towards the value addition, because we do want to participate in battery production, electric vehicle component production, and things of that nature. So down the road, we do expect that with these three elements being implemented, we definitely will extract more value from the sector.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You've mentioned also, as we kind of move towards the end of this interview, you've mentioned a couple of times now the local community. Zambia, I think it's very safe to say, Zambia has instituted very strong local mining content policies throughout this entire process and before, to enable the country to benefit beyond taxation, like you said. What was that process like? What was that consultation and that implementation process through policy and beyond?
This is something that's been long-standing for years. I must say it's not just an initiative of the government of President Hichilema. Of course, he came in 2 years ago, so he's been in office since 2021. Prior to that, I think really the interest from the part of local communities and the consultation, the unions have really been driving the agenda towards greater local involvement, even starting with on the supply side, being part of the supply chain. The issue around shareholding, for example, which is, I would say, our initiative, or the New Dawn's initiative, this is what this government is coined, is really around the new entities. So it's not necessarily disrupting the existing entities, because of course investors who have been there for years or for a significant amount of time before we got into office, we need to appreciate that, again, steering them off their path could have negative effects. So with us, is starting a fresh clean slate with new investments, with management of expectations, so that there's clear alignment from day one. Because again, there's also been other instances where an investor who's been around before unfortunately was able to take advantage of perhaps weak policy or even a weak government whose vision wasn't particularly clear. Now, in the case of ourselves, under President Hichilema, is we're saying that, okay, fine, we recognize and we'll maintain what exists with the existing ones, but with the new drive, is our participation is necessary. And really, in short, it's being very well received by the investment community. And I think it makes complete sense. We've seen how well the Botswana government has done with its enhancement of its presence within the mining sector there. And we can take definitely a page out of their book. We're also highly inspired by, the extractive industry in the Middle East. So looking at how the GCC countries like Saudi Arabia, like the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and so on, have played a significant part within the extractive sector, which is obviously largely oil and gas. And we are, seeing how much we can borrow from that and sort of apply it towards our own extractive industry. Yep.
Thank you. Jito, my final very quick question as we wrap up, just a few words from your own personal perspective. What's got you the most excited? What's coming up? What can we look forward to hearing maybe?
What's extremely exciting right now about Zambia is the fact that there's more discoveries in areas that we never expected there to be mineral resource. In fact, the broadening and the diversification of our mineral base. Copper has always been our mainstay, and we are very clear and sure that the fact that copper production will rise and we'll be able to hit the target of 3 million metric tons over the next decade. But looking at lithium, looking at gold, looking at other critical minerals, cobalt, new discoveries in that space, manganese, in various geographies within Zambia where it is largely untapped, it essentially means that the developmental vision and goals for the country can be attained for the upliftment of people's lives in the area. And the contribution that Zambia will play towards the energy transition is also very significant. So as a country, as a mining country, that the life of mines are being extended, the discoveries that are coming continue to come and rise as more exploration is done. So we know that the future of mining in Zambia is very positive, at least for the next century or so. And with that, we can expect a country whose GDP growth will reach, we're very sure, double digits, and which ultimately will improve the living standards of Zambian people. And of course, the government will benefit from increased revenue and having a greater stabilized economy. To me, that is extremely exciting. And we're setting the stage for that growth, and the Zambian people can certainly benefit. And of course, the international community of investors are welcome and to be part of this incredible growth story.
Incredible. Jito, thank you very, very much. I appreciate all of your insights. And I, for one, I'm very much looking forward to hearing more from yourself at the Mining Indaba next February in Cape Town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ahmed. Really, really appreciate this time. And looking forward to seeing you in Cape Town.